You are listening to Saturday Mornings with Trusler and Mac. I am Mac, and with me, who else could there be? It has to be Trusler. How you going, man?
I hope it would be. It'd kind of creepy if it wasn't. I'm doing well. How about yourself there?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Just questioning some things, and I think I found the answer. So,
The answer to life?
well, part of life, part of my favorite part of life. So, so yeah, I shall be following up on that pretty soon. Hopefully, everyone will be able to see that come to fruition. But in the meanwhile, we have things to talk about.
That we do.
And I want to thank everyone who listened to the very first episode of this brand new podcast. And hopefully I don't sound like God in this episode. Blaring through the speakers.
Speaking to your soul. Yeah, I think that might also be a bit on my part. So hopefully it didn't disrupt eardrums. Or I should just be really loud myself so that you can turn it down. But I'm kind of a quiet person.
Yeah. I don't know. People said on and off have been loud in my time, so. Oh well.
You just
boisterous. Boisterous. Anyway, we're going to dive straight into the news. Who wishes to start first?
You should start first.
Alrighty then. To anyone who's listening to this podcast and you're a Tales fan, I'm not talking about you specifically unless you have, unless you're like the people I'm about to talk to.
Uh-oh.
But one of the news articles that really rubbed me the wrong way is Hideo Barber, the producer of the Tales series, issued an apology for his last game, Tales of Hysteria, for any wrong advertising of the game. And I only have this to say. He didn't need to apologize for nothing. He did make a mistake when he advertised one of the characters, but that character didn't turn out to be a big part of the story, and fans have just called it the most sacrilegious thing that's ever happened in the history of Tales.
Okay, time out.
And,
what are you talking about? I'm completely lost on this one.
Okay, Tales of Hysteria
Right.
has some of the worst fan backlash I've ever seen for a video game in my life.
No.
Like, people have lost their minds. I mean, the thing that they're fighting out against is so stupid, it's not even funny. There is this character that everyone was looking forward to in this game that was advertised and found out that she's not really in the game at all.
Oh, what is this the dragon thing or whatever?
I'm not too sure because I haven't looked into it, but it's one of the female characters. And this rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, saying this is like a catastrophe of sorts. And I've looked at the game, I'm just like, okay, it's one character of many. I will deal with it. But no, they think this is the worst thing ever, and it's mainly been Japan that's been speaking out. And basically, the producer had to basically issue an apology, which kind of sucks because he's actually a generally nice guy, and the fact that he had to kind of, say to the fans, "Oh, I'm sorry, I screwed up." It's like, you didn't screw up, man. You made a choice and you kind of stuck with it, And it just some of the comments that I've been seeing is just, it's absolutely disgusting,
Yeah, this is something that I've never really understood. I mean, I do understand that games can be personal. You get, people with music, personal TV shows they can get kind of personal about. But the moment you do something that they don't like, it's like, it doesn't matter how nice of a person you are, or whether the intentions were malicious or not, or conniving or anything. It's a witch hunt. It's a you're burning at the cross kind of thing.
And I've seen it, of course, done in many forms throughout my time on the internet. But this is something else. I mean, the game has been out since January, and they're still talking about it.
That's some staying power.
Yeah, and I'm shaking my head. I'm just like, man. And it's not all Tales fans, because the other end of the Tales fans, they're pissed at the other Tales fans for acting this way. So it's not a happy place right now.
That doesn't, for any people that are fan of the Tales of series, kind of sucks for you guys. Sorry about that.
Yeah, hopefully the next game, I honestly, as someone who wants to make game, and I'm, like, of course, as well as someone else in the chat, we as artists, you do want to see your vision come to life, and you don't want to take too many liberties to try and please everyone. So if they are going to make another Tales games, I hope they have like a really good story, really good characters, and just take another chance, but don't just cave in and listen to fan demand. Sometimes that might work out. Sometimes it most likely doesn't. So.
Well, I think there's a saying when it comes to sports that if you listen to the fans, you're going to end up in the bleachers with them.
Yeah, that's a fantastic analogy.
Yeah, I think this is a good one for that. I mean, because it might be a big portion or whatnot, but this is like being vocal about something, and it's just people who are the loudest, and just because you're loud doesn't mean you're right.
Yeah, with Zesteria, like anyone who's like commented on the technical aspects of the one part of the game that sort of it's not all there, I actually agree with those people because I've seen like the camera controls are not that great in dungeons. It's pretty bad. Oof. And that's a legitimate concern. But having one character not be in the game and sort of saying its farewells, I don't think that's a legitimate concern, honestly. It's a story choice. I mean, you don't have to like it, but to say it ruins a game entirely, it must have been a really likable character for everyone to react this way. Yeah.
But if they're not in it that much, then how could they be that likable? I guess I could understand if it is like really promoted, because that's I guess the part that we don't really have ourselves is that how promoted is this character. But I would say a point like a possible example of this that I could like I don't see people angry about is Lunar. I know that's kind of like way out in left fucking field, but who's the blue-haired chick? What's her name?
I can't remember if it's Lucy. I haven't been a big Luna player. I've only played a bit of the GBA and PSP version.
Yeah, I played the PS1 version. I beat it, tried to play 2, kind of got bored with it. I didn't mind the game, but you at least from when you kind of get presented with the first one, you have the character that fuck. I'm looking this up because this is gonna bother me. So, but you have it, and you kind of feel like she's gonna be in it for a big chunk of it or something, right? I mean, she's kind of paraded around as being this character that's on cover things. She, you're talking to her all at the beginning and stuff, and you barely use her, and then she's gone for 90% of the game. Pops up randomly here and there, and then at the end of the game, I don't know. That to me, that's just kind of like that's for that sort of thing situation. That's the game that comes to mind. So,
I'm actually kind of a fan of some characters that have to basically tap out for a while and then come back. I can name dozens of games, but if they've got like something to play in the story on the other end of the spectrum, I'm actually a big fan of that. And that's happened recently with a certain Falcon game I beat, and I thought that was pretty cool. So I don't see the harm. I mean, the fact that they had to release DLC for that character, like a lost episode of sorts. I don't.
Luna. That's her name, obviously.
Oh, I think there's another girl known as Lucia, but I don't know if she had like different hair color. That could be number 2. I don't know.
Yeah. 2 is a washed memory.
If anyone wonders how could I not play Luna, it's pretty much a series that's pretty much stayed in Japan and the US for pretty much most of its life. No Australian ever got a chance to play it until like the Game Boy Advance version.
Yeah.
So, unless you
Game Boy Advance version. Woo! Yeah, no thanks. But
anyway, I think
we're not trying to bash on Lunar.
But But yeah, over to you.
Well, I'm gonna throw this one out real quick because I don't. To be honest, you probably don't give two flying shits for this, but Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5 is officially coming out later this year.
And you know what?
Hey!
You are correct.
I honestly haven't played a game from that series since like the second one, so I'm not like in any sort of hype for it or anything. But after they had that slew of just Tony Hawk Pro Skater, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, just a bunch of those games, they kind of were like, yeah, we're kind of done. So I'm happy that they were like, you know what, let's just kind of be done for now and come back to it in a few years and pop Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5. So I don't know what they're going to do for it. I don't know how well it's going to be. Don't care. I'm just kind of like middle school giddy, for lack of a better word, to see it kind of coming back.
Yeah, I got not so fond memories of Tony Hawk Pro Skater. No, I was in the group of gamers, and that seemed to be a game where everyone outside of my being loved that game, and they'll come to my house and they wanted me to excited to bear witness to them playing the game, and I didn't have the heart to tell them. It's like, guys, this is probably one of the most boring video games I've ever seen in my life. I'm sorry,
Ouch.
I cannot stand trick sort of extreme sports games. I just think they're boring and sin. There's one game on the PS2 that I think was Airborne or something, that was kind of fun, and of course the mini game in MGS2 Substance. That's as close as you're gonna ever get to me enjoying that type of game, but nah. And when I saw that, I was like, oh great, I wonder. Oh, well, I tell you what, as much as I'm just going to moan and groan, if you love Tony Hawk and you've been waiting for another Tony Hawk, go for it, man. Go enjoy yourself. But,
yeah, well, yeah, it was something I'd seen. I was like, wow, that's kind of random. It was, so.
But I will congratulate them that they actually tapped out and came back in a very respectable time frame. I mean, this is something that I would say the Assassin's Creed and stuff like Call of Duty needs to do. They need to tap out for a minimum of 3 years. But they can't because they're stuck in this sort of obligation that they've got to basically produce content on an annual basis to keep their stockholders happy, which never ends up well.
I can't really say much about the Assassin's Creed games because I've never played a single one of them. But with Call of Duty, I think you could kind of cheat and maybe go back to World War II or even go back to World War One. Do something like the Spring Offensive of 1918 or something. Do something dramatic like that. But they're kind of going into that whole advanced bit where it's going really futuristic, and it's kind of that's because they're kind of they should maybe think about jumping back or something like that, because I'd be down with it. I'm a bit more into those kind of older World War II shooters and whatnot than I'm modern.
I agree as well. I think I played Medal on a Frontline for the PS2 and I really enjoyed that. So I think World War II. I don't think I've played a World War One shooter, but I've played a World War II shooter. I don't think there's like a World War
someone who doesn't shooter. There might not. There probably is somewhere, but I've never really. I don't think. If there are, people let us know, please. I'd be cool. I'd be trying it.
I'm surprised an Australian studio hasn't tried to make Gallipoli yet, because that's something that's yearly sort of remembered.
I saw there's an image I saw on Twitter about that with the Battle of Gallipoli, that there's like two bullets that one pierced the other. It's insane. So, but
I suppose that might be a touchy subject.
You think
at least here in Australia
with World War One?
Well, not World War One, just Gallipoli in general, because That's about it. A lot of us Aussies
Right.
lost their lives, so yeah, it's not too sure. But as an artist, that might be an interesting sort of setting for a game. As long as they get like the old British officers down pat to be absolutely contempt, just despicable. Because if you ever hear people talk about the British, not good things about World War One British officers.
The Haig he kind of really didn't. He was really cold, and they were just all kind of stupid. And it's like, oh, meat grinders, send them in, let them all die.
Yeah.
Thank you, hardcore history, for educating me on the World War One there. But or that'd do the fucking Dawn Brigade.
Yeah,
that'd be sweet. But anywho, we're sidetailing out of here. So I have that one here. I've got another one here that it's probably another thing. Well, actually, no. You might be interested in it. And GOG, right?
yes.
Now, did you see this thing about GOG Galaxy?
No.
I guess it's supposed to be the competitor for Steam. And it's it's like DRM free, and you have all these other little trophies and stuff you can win and whatnot. But the main thing is it's DRM free, and it's like direct competition towards Steam. And the beta is now open to the public.
Which is good, because the thing about GOG is I think they have a lot more licenses of certain games that Steam doesn't. So they're much more PC friendly. But Xseed and Falcom they have adopted Xseed Falcom, so you'll be seeing like a lot of these games, probably Trails in the Sky on there, which is pretty cool, and you'll be able to have them DRM-free as well. But the thing that sort of interests me is, they do have a lot of old PC properties. I think you can like play the entire Ultima series from GOG.
Awesome.
So. Except for 9, that's never awesome. Seriously. What a way to just not end the series right. And to make a well-beloved character a complete dumbass. If you ever heard about the game, they tried to market that game to new gamers, even though it's the final chapter, and they completely took every sort of plot device throughout the series and put it through the meat grinder. And it's a mess. It's a mess of a game. Man, I'm on a roll. Don't worry, there will be happy news from me later in this episode. Believe you me.
Just trying to dig through the things that aren't so happy, or at least kind of indifferent towards.
Well, yeah. But no, I'm really happy. It's really cool to see another sort of marketplace, and when they evolve to sort of be compatible with a lot more users, because using Steam lately, I'm actually been using it a lot more ever since I've been using this big picture, and more so ever since I got a 360 controller. Using a 360 controller for Steam completely changes it. It now makes it a more viable gaming platform for myself, instead of using that goddamn keyboard.
It's quirky to get used to, but I don't know. It's something like I actually kind of like using the keyboard, even though I've totally cut my teeth on consoles as a kid and stuff. But I think I'm just, because I'm weird and like to struggle and look like a jackass trying to learn how to do it.
Well, I used to do that too, but when you're playing high octane sort of East games, it does get old after a while. Especially Origin. Origin really cripples you if you use a keyboard, so I had to rectify that straight away. But no, cool. I'll have to look into GOG as well. Just on a side note, there is actually a service in Japan. I didn't know about this until recently. They actually have all the PC 88 and 98 games available to download. And I was blown away. It's like, I have to know. Sure enough, every single Falcom game ever made on those systems is available. And I'm like, oh my god, I'd have a field day if I could use that. But I think it's Japanese only, sadly, so...
Well, that's why you hack the interwebs.
No, like, I would play... Yeah, I would play these games in Japanese, but I think you have to have a Japanese account, and it has to auto-detect your country as Japan.
Obviously,
so...
shift the servers, or whatever. Do something, internet, keyboard, whatever. Something with servers. Make them pretend that they're in Japan. You got this, Greg. Do it.
Well, the thing is for getting back to GOG is I hope it's a more viable platform. I think it does because there's been so many marketplaces that have tried to push out Steam as a competitor or just the other marketplaces. Like remember the Ouya and kind of sadly. I mean it had potential, but
that thing's still dying a slow, sad death, ain't it? I think they were trying to sell things to make up for all the in the red they are. So
yeah, I hate that because there are so many people so passionate about making like old school games for it, and we'll see what happens. But there's also like the Apple have their own sort of box console they had for TV, and that kind of interests me, the fact that they have all those Dragon Quest games on there, but I don't know if it's compatible.
I have no idea. I completely forgot about that, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I haven't even used them yet, so just something to bring up that I'm hoping that this new GOG Galaxy does better than them,
Yeah, that's what you kind of hope for, is that at least with the competition, that it will help make things, at least, if anything, more accessible to everybody, and easy to use, and welcoming.
And as someone who knows who his favorite generation of gaming is, I know there's a lot of PC gamers out there that love like 90s PC gaming, and GOG is like the best website to relive that, so I'm happy for them.
Woot.
Alrighty. I actually got a weird piece of news I'm not invested in, but I'm actually surprised at the quick turnaround of this, what's happened. Capcom recently basically listed the Misadventures of Tron Bonne on the ratings board. A day later, the game got uploaded to PSN.
Yeah, I saw this, and I don't know how to feel about this, because this is out of the 3 Legends games, I've never played this game. And I've never really cared for Tron, so I'm just kind of like, oh, okay, alright.
The question remains, why not bring out 1 and 2 first? That's what I'm
Because people are still bitter about 3. Damn it, Greg. Fuckers.
that'd be a silly reason. Because I actually want to beat 1, and if they actually put Mega Man Legends 1 on there, I would give it my best shot at playing that game.
No, you can't have that, because that would mean that it would get excitement for 3, and then everybody would remember that Capcom were dicks and canceled it. Come on. I'm allowed to be bitter about this. I don't care. I'm still bitter about this. They canceled it on my birthday. Bought a fucking 3DS because of that game, or at least because it was going to be whatever. Fuck them.
It's strange though, because I've noticed this is their big form of business in the last year. They haven't really released any major title. They've just been going nuts with old school digital games, and I'm all for that because I just recently beat Breath of Fire and had a blast. Been playing games like Mega Man X and Demon's Crest, so I'm sure there's more of their library they want to bring out, but honestly, it just would have made more sense to bring out 1 and 2 first, and then Misadventures of Tron Bonne. I've been speaking to a lot of people. They're happy because they don't have to spend $200 on eBay now, much like the Suicune thing, but it just be nice to get them all together.
Right. Yeah, I am happy that people are able to experience the game because of that. I mean, that's just asinine. $200 for the game. Because people, they just want to play the game. If they just want to play the game, just, I don't want to just play a game if it's going to cost me a bajillion dollars, kind of thing. It's like, that's what kind of bugged the hell out of me with just, you see like $800 for Earthbound or whatever the fuck. If it's for a collector, okay, but if people just want to play the game, this is great. Yeah. This is fantastic, because now they don't have to deal with all that nonsense.
And they're gonna have a more brighter outlook when they only spend $6 to download a game, opposed to paying $200. Like I've said this, I will keep saying this again. No amount, how good Panzer Dragoon Saga is, it's never going to amount to $300 worth.
Well, that's just for one disc.
Yeah, like at that point, I'm like, the game's not going to live up to that price.
I mean, what's the? I'll have to say, I dropped $150 for Thracia, Fire Emblem Thracia 776 there. And that game kicks your teeth in first few times you play it, and then I've, really start to like it. And that's one of those kind of things that, yeah, I think it's because it's in the series, I was able to kind of tolerate it being bullshit, and then I've kind of grown to like it. So
we all have those select few games we are welcome to pay just a little bit more. I mean, you know me, I paid $130 for Isolseta Special Edition in Japanese, and I still think I got a bargain for that. So, yeah. It's just if there's a select few you want to pay for the nose, then go for it. Just make sure it's not every game, otherwise you're going to be a sad, cashless person.
You are really rich, and you should kind of send some our way. Would be totally cool. So.
Or a worthwhile charity of choice.
Right. Please that one first before anything else. So,
there's a few I want to do, but just before I hand it back to you, just probably the last piece of news that would irk me, kind of already has, is Nintendo has come forward saying they're going to deal with Amiibo shortages. Good. Please restock all the Fire Emblem ones, please.
I was about to say, this is not something in my wheel well. I'm not really crazy about the whole Amiibo thing. My brother always is like, "Hey Taylor, I got this one," and just whatever, dude. Sorry.
And we've talked about this off the podcast so many times. I'm excited as a fan of Fire Emblem. I've always wanted figurines and all that, and the fact that there's one of Ike, which is the hardest one to get, which pisses me off. And that's the one I want, because damn it, the Radiant series is glorious, and I need something that's a testament to it. But seriously, if it happens, I'm not one of those guys that waits behind the counter and pre-orders them. And the thing that pisses me off about Nintendo is, in Australia, they're releasing stuff on a Saturday, which does not benefit me one iota, because there is no buses that run on Saturdays. So, well, going there on Monday and hope for the best.
That's why you have to trek. How far do you have to walk?
Yeah. It's 40 minutes by bus in bushland and forestland where dingoes roam. Yeah,
totally. Makes it adventure for you. Then you totally be like that because you're just whooping ass going through there. Dingo's got nothing.
Well, I don't have Ragnar.
Well, it's just okay. It's pre-Ragnar Path of Radiance. He's still boss. He's still good. Just not as good. So.
I actually recently went to the local store that stocked Amiibos, hoping there would be the Awakening ones. No, they're the only ones that weren't there. So, I mean, like I said, I'm so glad I'm not one of those people that wants to collect every one of them, because, oh man, I feel for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're doing that for a lot of different games, so have fun.
Yeah, which kind of bothers me in the long run, because I just know out of every game, the next Legend of Zelda game is going to have a legion of Amiibos. And that's the one where it's going to, I can just automatically see the big finger in front of my face.
I want a Goomba one. That'd be amazing. I'd be down with that.
Just a Goomba one?
I'd be cool with that.
I was very, very close to buying a Pac-Man one, and I'm not, the biggest Pac-Man fan, but I just thought it's pretty cool looking, so...
Get on it, Nintendo. But, Goomba Amiibo. Now.
But I actually, the difference between most people is I actually use them. Every time I play Hyrule Warriors, I cash in every game session, because you tap them and they give you a weapon, and if you don't like that weapon, you can sell it for a good sum of rupees. So I can begin every day with a good sum of rupees to help me out, and I like that.
Nothing wrong with that.
So yeah, Nintendo, follow through what you got to say. Oh, and lastly, they did say they're going to restock the Shulk Amiibo after the outrage there was exclusive, and hopefully I can get one. But yeah, I shall pass it over back to you, good sir.
Well, I'll stick to Nintendo for this next one I've got here. Is that they announced something don't know exactly when, but they're gonna have Nintendo-themed rides at Universal.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
heard
and I'm
this.
just kind of I'm such a dork that I don't like. I'm not a big fan of amusement parks, really. It's
You know what? I'm not. Well, I wouldn't say I'm not a big fan. It's I've never had the inkling. You know, like I hear most kids grow up in America. It's like we want to go to Disneyland. We're going to Disneyland. Like I never bothered my parents to do stuff like that. I guess because I wouldn't. The opposite spectrum of an adrenaline junkie. Like I don't get sick or I don't get. Well, I get pre-jitters, but usually when I do something, I actually have a good time, which is weird. Like I've been in an airplane where the doors come off, and I handled that pretty well. But getting on the airplane to begin with, that was kind of where the jitters were. So it's kind of weird with me. It's kind of the same with like roller coasters. Like I'll worry about getting on them, but once I got on them, I'm fine. It's just a weird feeling. But at the same time, I never go out of my way, or never had gone out of my way to go to any sort of amusement parks. Like the last one I went to of note is we actually have something called Warner Brothers Movie World in Australia. And that focuses on like any sort of big Warner Brothers ride. Like as someone who grew up like worshipping Batman, there's a lot of like Batman the ride and Batman sort of street stuff and all that. So, but that was like when I was 8 and I'm now 30 years old. So that was 22 years ago. And other than that, there's only like really 2-bit sort of amusement sort of parks, like nothing big, but I just have no inkling to go to them. I think the closest thing I've been to ever since is, I know, bumper cars maybe. That was a couple of years later, but as for this, it depends on the ride. Like, if there was some way they could have like a medieval fair in honor of Fire Emblem, that'd be fantastic. They could actually have jousting. And
doubt it.
I know. I know. This is you're more likely to see this in an actual Renaissance fair than them doing it. But that would be amazing if they could support Fire Emblem in some way, or at least Legend of Zelda. Like I've always said, one of the reasons I love Nintendo is they do fantasy really well. Legend of Zelda and Fire Emblem, 2 of my favorites. So
yeah, I'm kind of thinking it'd probably be a lot of like Mario thing. I'm just frightened to think of all the crazy merchandise that they'd be selling and just.
Yeah, and that will be one of the reasons the collectors come down. I'm guessing Pokemon will be another one that will try their best.
I don't think they would have to try very hard to try their best.
No. Like, okay, using your thinking caps, the one sort of, well, for bumper cars, very simple. They would style that after Mario Kart, or just go-karts in general. They just have go-kart track and just theme it Mario Kart.
Make sure to have like speakers around there to play Mario Kart music.
And maybe plush cell. I don't know if they were allowed to give people plush cells and peg them at each other.
Giant banana peels.
The other one. Hey, no. You have the janitor's like, no, the banana peels are supposed to be there. Right. The other thing I can see that would probably please a lot of people is an F-Zero roller coaster.
Oh, yeah, that good old. Fortunately, F-Zero gets neglected. Maybe they shouldn't make fucking stupidly hard games. Thanks, F-Zero. Jesus.
So, I can see the idea, and I kind of hope they do well, because honestly, a video game theme park is probably the best I could ever hope for getting into an amusement park again in this life, so I'm all, good luck to them.
So, yeah, I had to bring that up. And the other one, I was going to think that you would have brought this up earlier, but there's a website, and it's called Sword or Wit.
Yes. Yes, it is. And I usually say the best to last.
I'm a dick and had to steal your thunder. So.
No, I actually kind of thought you would, so I was more than happy to. Because it's still up in the air what type of game this is going to be. I do have some concerns, but at the end of the day, it's going to be a Koji Igarashi game that's going to be a tribute to Castlevania, which is going to be awesome. But that sprite of supposedly the Vampire Lord, kind of
What
lame.
is it though? I looked
it,
at it and I don't know what Igarashi looks like, so I just assumed that it was like him as.
no, it's not Igarashi. I don't think
Okay.
it's Igarashi. But the thing about Castlevania for me that's spoiled is Ayami Kojima, who does the artwork for the character portraits, the game cover, and everything. She's my favorite video game artist. Like, numero uno. Like, I would hang portraits and paintings of her work in my house if I could. And to go from that to this, I'm like, I hope that's a placeholder sprite, please. Because they have some of the best 2D sprites ever in history. When you play the games, even the NES games have some of the best NES sprites ever. And this kind of worries me a little bit. But ultimately, it's just a big nitpick. If it's going to be another Metroidvania game from Koji Igarashi, take the clothes off my back.
That's
Seriously. It will be the second game I will. Seriously, it'll be the second game I will put money down for Kickstarter. So I'm up for it.
Do you know or have you heard anything if it's supposed to be in the vein of for lack of a better word, Metroidvania, or is it supposed to be like an older one? Cough, cough. Let's have like another 3.
Okay, to anyone that thinks that only Koji Igarashi is only interested in the Metroidvania games, I think he has about 3 games under his belt that was in Metroidvania. He was on the development team, I think, for Bloodlines. He was definitely the leader for Rondo of Blood. And then, like, at the end of his career, Konami, he worked on the remake for Castlevania The Adventure for WiiWare. So he has done normal platforming Castlevania games.
I mean,
so,
Rondo of Blood is... I like it. I think it's good. Some people don't.
I like it. I think one of the reasons I like it is I think the soundtrack is amazing.
It's pretty good.
Like,
it's just, I don't know. I think it's just because I like those. I love the old ones. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I said 2, even though 2 is proto fucking Metroidvania. But I love those first 3 games and Rondo of Blood. Those are I never played Super Castlevania, so.
I actually need to beat 2 and 3. I have played both of them, but I actually need to beat.
Well, you
beat
just
them.
need patience with 2
and a lot of luck with 3.
Right.
But I do want to play 3 because, as an old fan of the old timeline, that's actually a very important role in the entire timeline, because a lot of things revolve around what happens in Dracula's Curse, and gets brought up again time and time again. So I've always wanted to beat that. I know there's the remake someone made using, I would say, Super Castlevania 4 style graphics. It's actually pretty cool. It looks pretty cool.
Now, have you heard the difference between the NES and the Famicom version? Because the sound chip,
in passing,
because they have like a sound chip that Konami had specifically for the Famicom, and it makes a lot of the songs in. Not all of them. There's a couple of them that the NES one actually sounds a bit better, but for the most part, man, the Famicom version of Castlevania 3 soundtrack is just amazing. It's great.
A lot of the fan favorites originated from Dracula's Curse, so that's why I'm very happy for that game, because there's just so many great tunes that was originated and then remixed even better as it went along. So, oh my goodness. But this is actually one of the only concerns I had, but if he's going to play it safe, all power to him. I was hoping he was going to make another Metroidvania game, but not have another Vampire Hunter setting. Let his mind expand into other realms, but he's going to play it safe. And I'm like, well, the last 2D Castlevania game I played was Order of Ecclesia back in 2008. So it's been about 7 years, and it felt like yesterday. All those great games that you love just feels like yesterday, because it always stays with you. So I am very much due for another Koji Igarashi outing. This is the thing, Taylor. You know that news? It's supposed to be now. They're supposed to sort of like, it's either now or tomorrow early morning is when the news is going to surface.
Yeah, I know. I feel sad that for those who don't know, we're recording this at 2 o'clock in the morning, Friday, so...
Yeah, due to scheduling issues, mainly on my end. So.
But...
Yeah, thanks, Greg.
But,
the sort
has me. What I'm thinking it is, because you know it's whatever the weapon is. That's what it feels like to me. And I've totally Cheesecake Factory. I've just been cheating and just voting whip the whole damn time. Just randomly showed up.
I actually haven't voted
Monster.
Yet. This, which I will soon because I didn't know there was a vote page. I just knew that there was going to be something coming. But this is the thing. Castlevania. Fan base is split into two factions, one who loves the Belmonts and one who loves Alucard. I like the Belmonts, but I'm sorry, Alucard is one of my favorite video game characters of all time, so...
No.
Yes, very big yes.
No. It's all about the whips. No, there's plenty of games with swords, not enough with whips.
Can never be enough games with swords. So no, I'm a big fan of Alucard, so I probably will vote for the sword more than anything. But I played a lot of games that I also love playing as the Belmonts as well, so I'm trying to think what would be my favourite Belmont. I think Trevor is, because once you play Dracula's Curse, but after immediately you go play Curse of Darkness on the PS2, he has a great story. But so he's probably one of the more Belmonts that stand out, as well as Richter.
Yeah, so. And I have a soft spot for Simon, because I have a soft spot for 2, so...
I've never had that connection with Simon, honestly. It's always been Richter and Trevor for me.
Richter's.
And Julius. Julius is also fucking cool. As the last in the Belmont bloodline. I was the only travesty is I knew they weren't going to do it, but when you play like Ariam Donosor and you read his backstory about how he kills Dracula, like in the battles, spoilers everyone. And, like, you don't get to see this. This is just Castlevania lore in words. He basically destroys Dracula once and for all in 1999. Like, the entity known as Count Dracula never came back after the Battle of 1999. And I basically came away from that saying, Konami...
Where's the Battle of
1999? Please give me this game. Yes! And a lot of people have been saying this, and now because of what's happening with Konami...
Of course not. Thanks, Konami.
But yeah, it was 19-year-old Julius Bellman who finally killed Dracula, and then that sort of led years later to the Sorrow series, and I'm like, this just would have been an amazing Castlevania game, so... And I've kind of fallen out of touch with Castlevania. It used to be like one of the biggest series that I've been fanatical about, and I am to a degree, but just to let you know where I stand right now, I haven't even gone out of my way to play... Mirror of Fate or Lords of Shadow 2. Like, I played demos of both those games, but I haven't paid for them yet. And from one of my friends saying, it's actually a good thing I haven't. So, I will eventually, because I actually enjoyed Lords of Shadows, but not as a Castlevania game, just its own standalone thing. But the older games I just go back to constantly, so I'm very happy for this new Kickstarter and looking forward to the news this weekend, see what, you know... The fact that you are playing an alchemist is pretty cool in itself, and it kind of gives credence to throwing a bunch of shit. like, why are you throwing holy water? He's an alchemist.
Just all of the holy water. Just all of it.
Or some concoctions would be awesome. Like, you like, face this really impossible enemy, because in the Castlevania games, you will fight enemies in the latest of DS games where you can only hit one on them. Wouldn't it be cool if you make a concoction, you throw it at the enemy, turns into a slime? That'd be cool.
It's gotta be that obnoxious slime from Simon's Quest. Where it just kind of, like, jumps around and falls through... Well, it doesn't fall through things, but, I mean, it falls from the ceiling to the floor and just kind of...
Oh my god, did you throw the concoction and you hit the giant suit of armor and he splits into those a legion of those what do you call it, the hunchback things that like to jump around
or whatever. Yeah.
The Fleaman, yes, thank you very much. Sucks to be you.
I'd cry.
Oh yeah, all Medusa heads, especially yellow Medusa heads. Ugh. Yeah, I enjoy being petrified every
Yes,
2
totally.
seconds. Thank you very much.
Just sit there. Just stand around. So,
Especially in Symphony of the Night, where you can actually jiggle around when you're
right,
petrified.
right.
Just break free. Anyway,
yeah, I got a couple more here. So, one here is that there, at least temporarily, there's a workaround for a region-free 3DS. I don't know if you caught that or not.
well, I haven't heard this new one, but I've heard about older ones where there was that copy of that game that if you basically they've found a backdoor in this game that you can hack the firmware, some ninja
that's
sort
the
of game or
exact
something.
one, because it was kind of brought to the attention. At least I just saw it earlier this week, and it was listed for earlier this week. So, Cubic Ninja.
You know, the sad thing is, Cubic Ninja, that's it. You know what the sad thing is? As soon as people found that game, before that, it went for next to nothing. After they found out, it's now one of the most expensive games, I think.
Well, they've pulled it from the eShop. But the physical copies are still there. But it's like, wouldn't a Nintendo update kind of stop that?
Which kind of see, the thing is though, is I know they tried to defy piracy, but that was one of the things about the DS that made it one of the best handhelds ever, because there was so much that was released in America that it didn't matter because we could just go to an import website and get them. Because most of them didn't get okay, just off on the top of my head, Super Robot Tyson, Endless Frontier, that was only released in America. That never got a local release here. I actually got most of some of the Dragon Quest games, I think, earlier. I actually got all those Castlevania games that I've passionately mentioned earlier than the Australian release, because you get them from America. That's why it was awesome. And the fact that, they've put a region locked on a handheld all things kind of just makes it more difficult. I mean, off the top of my head, the only game I could sort of think of that I would want to play is Shin Megami Tensei 4. Is physical form, but it's digital form here. So if I really want to play a game, I just download it. But I could have played it like 2 years ago or a year and a half ago. So
yeah, like that whole thing. It's surprising that despite that, Sony still can't, make the Vita appealing to people.
that's just they're doing their best though. They just put all their money into content. That's why they're sort of giving into fan demand, because it's the only thing they can, because they haven't got a clue what to bring out. But I've actually got something to talk about that later on after you talk about all the new stories you've got.
Okay, I just have a couple more. Something that just happened today was the Splatoon, whatever, Splatoon Direct. I don't know if you've been keeping up with that at all, or...
I actually watched a bit of it last night as it happened.
Okay, yeah, I caught the video after it had been posted. I watched a little bit of it. Okay, it looks kind of nifty, but I don't have, to play the game. I'd be kind of interested in it because it looks kind of fun, but I don't play a lot of those. I don't play, what's that, Team Fortress 2? I don't play that sort of thing. So this sort of thing does, like the kind of cartoony, cutesy, just kind of paint things up, isn't too bad. However, the way they did it with that direct video, where it's like that scientist talking about squids, and I thought that was stupid. I did not like that at all.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. And to be perfectly honest, when this game was first announced, this is the weirdest thing about this game. I started off having no care for this game, but as the months went by, my interest sort of crept up a little bit more and more and more, and just gradually, and I'm willing to try the demo of this, because in my opinion, this is the first new IP from Nintendo that feels like a Nintendo property. It has that same Nintendo sort of, I don't know, like when you saw a Nintendo-made game back in the day, you can just say, well, yeah, that's definitely Nintendo. It's got that Nintendo magic, and it's like, they've been struggling with that recently. I think the last game people can sort of, I would assume, saying is probably Pikmin, Sort of like, Miyamoto's attempt to sort of bring sort of a new famous character, the likes of Mario, and didn't pan out as much as Mario did, and I think this is sort of like the next game. But they're going into this territory that I wouldn't say they're not strong with, because a lot of people talk to that they're interested in playing Splatoon, but they know how questionable Nintendo's online infrastructure is.
There's no voice chat.
And yeah, well, that doesn't bother me.
Well, right. Well, yeah,
for reasons.
People are just like, la, 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 fuck it. You know, you can only hear that.
I suck, so I have to be loud.
You can only hear so many heinous things about your mother before you're just like, whatever, shut up. You just get to the point where you just mute everybody.
The whole capturing the field, that's the part that interests me, and the fact that that's where you can only move around, it's how you win. The rules of the game, because I'm all interested in how a game comes together with everything you throw at it, all the options, all the imports, everything. And I kind of like what they're going with Splatoon. Is it enough for me to play full price? Probably not, but in an age where you can only usually play full price for Nintendo games, I'm actually interested, but I'm not like super must buy day one excited. You know, it's an interesting experiment. So, yeah, pretty much.
Like that thing about painting the field, and then by the end of the round, whoever has the most ground covered wins. I think that's kind of nifty, because it isn't completely just blast the hell out of somebody to win. There's some different creative ways you can kind of go about at least some of those courses or maps or whatever. That to me is kind of interesting. I think partly Friday and Saturday there's supposed to be a limited time demo or something. So
yes, I got the email just then for the Australian times. So thinking about it.
Do it. So, but
and
yes,
report back
exactly
in a week.
So, but no, I mean, I never really paid much attention to the direct stuff until now, of course. So looking at this, I was just kind of like, okay, I didn't need the whole scientist shtick thing, kind of thing. Yeah, but just the game itself, I was like, okay, this is kind of nifty. So, the last thing I have is on, is it Gamasutra?
Yeah, that is a site, Gamasutra.
Okay. On Gamasutra, they actually have it's listed as a quote-unquote post-mortem, but they have this, it's a fairly lengthy article about the Moon Studios' Ori and the Blind Forest, and just kind of making it, and the process of it, the struggle and everything. And if you get a chance, you should kind of give it a read. I'm in the process with a few other people of trying to make a game, so it was cool to kind of see how they felt about it and the ebbs and flows and everything. So
I'll have to read that, because I still have an inkling to make an RPG one day, and I've been looking at various means to do that, and I know Good Sir here is probably a step ahead. But definitely, because
it's a process.
But I'll definitely read that, and I know that indie development, games development in general, is not for everyone, and there's so many avenues you can take, and someone who's learned 3D design, it's pretty hectic, and I'm more than happy to kind of just make a 2D game, because I know my heart's more in that. So boy.
Yeah, that's it on my end. What else do you have for you?
Okay, something really surprising for me, because one of the things you will hear about very passionately here is I'm a big fan of the Warriors series, and recently there's this anime series that has really gotten my attention. I'm looking forward to when it gets, I assume it might be translated, but I'm looking forward to when it gets legitimately streamed. It's called The Heroic Legend of Arslan, and apparently it's based off an old famous sort of set of Japanese novels. And what was really cool is when I was researching this, the original novels, like the cover art was done by Yoshitaka Amano. And pretty awesome cover work, but I've heard it's like a really, really good story. Apparently, like, the author did Legend of the Galactic Heroes as well, which is another famous it's sci-fi tale in Japan, which has one of the longest running original OVAs ever, because they're expensive to make and there's like more than 100 episodes. So, and I've heard, like, someone said to me, Greg, with the games you like and the thing about you liking politics and all that, and Suicode and Fire Emblem, you'll love Legend of the Galactic Heroes. And I'm like, sweet, I'll have to watch that one day. But this guy also made this story called Heroic Legend of Arslan. The creator of Full Metal Alchemist, who is a mangaka is the correct term. After the run of Full Metal Alchemist, they got, I can't remember if it's a he or she, but got the rights basically to the Heroic Legend of Arslan and resurrected that in manga format. Apparently the manga was so popular that it got greenlit for a series. And I saw the trailer to the anime series, and my little mind was blown. It's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous sort of slightly dark medieval fantasy anime. And, oh man, I'm all for it. And then the news today that they're going to make a Warriors game based on this. Oh, yes. But as my mind says, this is going to be the closest thing I'm going to get to a Fire Emblem Muso game in a while. So I'm happy that this is a thing. And I want to watch the series first before I get too hyped. But I've already seen like the character designs, and they're fantastic. And I've already seen bits of the story, and it's got me hooked. So I'm just waiting patiently until it gets released. But the fact it's getting a Warriors game, pretty awesome. They've made a lot of money making these anime Warriors games, like the Gundam games, which I play obsessively, the One Piece ones, and then the Mr. the North Star ones, which I won't talk about much. If anyone doesn't know, that's actually my least favorite anime series of all time. Sorry to people that like this the North Star.
Totally hating the wrong crowd.
I mean, honestly, the only way I'll probably get you to play Warriors games is if it's Cowboy Bebop moves.
That wouldn't work out though. It's like,
no.
And
I don't think there was ever a opportunity where Spike, Jet, Faye, and Ed had to face off against the army of adversaries.
Oh, what is that? The Red Dragon Syndicate? So,
I think so, yeah.
But nah, it's the whole Warriors thing. That's not really anything I'm interested in, and that goes with anime. I'm not a big anime guy, and I know somebody we know, Shintai, has always kind of badgered me. Not in a negative way or anything. He's always kind of been like, "Oh, you should try this," but it's really not a media form that I'm. There's a couple that I like: Cowboy Bebop, Rurouni Kenshin, Trigun. I like the three westerns: Trigun, Cowboy Bebop, and Outlaw Star.
Outlaw Star is boss, man. Love that too.
But
I get where you're coming from. We've talked about this, man. And you know me, I'm kind of a struggling anime fan who grew up loving it to death, and finding a series I like nowadays is a needle in a haystack. Which is when I saw this, I was like, finally. Like, I mean, the other series I'm really passionate about is the Fate series, which is going on strong. But other than that, there is really nothing for me. And probably the occasional Gundam series, but I sort of understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
So, but me, I'm very much excited, but I'm not getting too excited until I actually watch the thing. And if it's amazing anime, then yeah, I'm definitely going to get the game. Alrighty, the last two just happened moments after this recording, and
moments before.
This makes me moments. Did I say moments after? Alrighty, I have a time machine. I have the DeLorean.
It's okay. From the future.
It's the power of love. Oh god, I was trying to figure out how to respond to that, and that's all I had. But okay, one of my favorite Sony properties, and I was sort of leaning to this before, is just got teased. There is hope that a new MediEvil game is coming out.
Mm-hmm.
That makes me really happy. That's actually one of my favorite games on the PlayStation 1, and I'm actually a big fan of the hero Sir Daniel Fortescue. I think he's a hilarious character. I mean, I like him so much, I bought PlayStation All Stars Rumble just to play as him, and yeah,
That's liking something.
I've played. I've actually played all the games in the series. I played 1, 2, the PSP remake, and I think he's a fantastic character. I think in terms of Sony exclusive developed characters, I think he's my favorite. Like in that era where stuff like Crash and Spyro and I don't know if Jumping Jack is a good
Jumping Jack.
Yeah, was it that that rabbit game, Jumping Jack Flash or something?
It's a Rolling Stones song.
Oh,
Jumping Jack Flash. I don't know.
There's a really early PlayStation 1 game where you were first person mode and you were like this rabbit and you could jump extraordinary heights. Yeah, that's for sure another time. But what I'm getting to is, out of all the characters they created in the PS1 era, I've always thought that Sir Daniel Fortescue was the best of them. I've always thought MediEvil was this fantastic, amazing-looking game, had a great sense of humor, and it was really fun to play. I really enjoyed the boss battles. It was one of the best games collectible-wise. Like, if you collect a certain... I can't remember... I'm having a blank right now, but you go to the Hall of Heroes and you would unlock weaponry. That's your way you unlock weaponry. It's just a great game. I just absolutely love it. Like, I would put Sir Daniel Fortescue up there with the greatest heroes of Sword and Shield with Alyss, Adol, and other Sword and Shield wielders being my favorite. So the fact that this could be, I'm not getting my hopes up, but it was teased today, then immediately closed down because they kind of screwed up, apparently. It's like, oh shit, we kind of jumped the gun. But basically it was a tech demo for the PS4. Stunning game. Cannot... If this happens, yeah, day one for me. Have you ever played MediEvil games?
I played one briefly, but it was so briefly. I think it was on one. Wasn't it on like a demo disc or something?
Yeah, it was.
I think I played the demo disc of it, and I didn't hate it or anything, but like my memory of it is so like. Truth be told, with the whole what is it, 5th and 6th generation, the PS1, PS2, that area. Yeah. I've had to go back and play a lot of those games because I didn't play them when they first came out, because it was a time in my life where I was just like, whatever games. So I've kind of come back, and the ones that I did play during that time was just really infrequently or just very sparingly. So it's just so much that I'm just kind of like, okay.
That's funny because the PS1 era was kind of like the last era where I was obsessively playing games every day. Like, I don't care what anyone else is. I'm just playing my PlayStation 1. And like, even the PS2, I actually only played 50% of what I bought, whereas the PS1 era, I 100% played and beat what I bought and what I hired out. And that kind of creeped up into the PS3 era where it's like I struggle to play most RPGs. Not because they're hard, it's just something about them that just, I don't know, I just drift off and want to go back and play a PS1 game. So this was really happy for someone like myself. I do recommend anyone who has a PSP to play the Resurrection version. That was actually the first game on the PSP, I believe, at least in the Western world. And it's actually, in my opinion, it was amazing looking for its amazing looking for its time, especially since it was a first-year PSP title. But the thing that really blew me away is that this is also with 2. Their budget for their music was really high, and it was one of the only times where it's like it was justified, because it's actually one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. The final battle theme of MediEvil 2, I listen to that daily. It's pretty amazing. And the final battle theme of MediEvil Resurrection is just epic. It had a choir in it.
Choirs are always good.
So I mean, this is my introduction to the PSP, and I'm listening to a choir in my earphones, and I'm like, holy crap, the power of the PSP compels you. So, yeah, big MediEvil fan. If this happens, I would certainly say E3 is when we're going to hear more about it. I'm hoping it is a game, not just a tech demo for Sony, but yeah,
cool.
Awesome, man. The last news, I've kind of already talked this over with Taylor just before the recording. I said before then.
This is after you went through the time machine to come back and tell me.
Yes. And I don't know, kiss Marie Antoinette and told them to eat cake, which is kind of bad because I kind of said it in the wrong context. It sounded funny at the time. That was pretty bad. Okay. This was actually a big surprise because I came across this accidentally when I clicked the wrong link, because one of my links that I have in my hotbar for my bookmarks is Sirene's Forest, which is the big Fire Emblem fan site of the internets. And I said, man, I misclicked it. And then I looked at the news report, which really shocked me, that the original creator of Fire Emblem, Shozo Kaga, is creating an indie game with a group called SRPG Studio. Apparently, though, this is going to be low budget, like on the download. The people he only... I'm brain dead here. When you must inquire about work.
When you must inquire...
the word that when you put a job listing up for
when you're looking to hire people?
Yes. What does that mean? I usually know what it is, but sometimes I forget what. Anyway, he was seeking passionate-minded people. It didn't have to be like people essentially from like big pedigrees, but he'd been talking to a lot of people in their hopes to make another strategy RPG. And apparently, from what I hear, I think most of the people that is on his team are all hardcore Fire Emblem fans.
Of course they are.
Of course. I mean, the honor to make a game with the guy who created Fire Emblem would be amazing. The one thing I think he said that the one thing he's hoping to get, he may just acquire the artist is having trouble.
I was saying, getting attacked there.
The shields, they do not hold. Anyways, yeah, the last thing that they were looking for was a really good spry artist, and I think that was the last thing they were struggling to find, because he was looking forward to... And if you played a Fire Emblem game, you know that sprites is a big part of Fire Emblem, like really good-looking...
It's really big.
2D sprites, so I knew that was going to be sort of like the hardest part, so I think he found someone, which is good. I just like the fact that they're doing this at a very low indie level, which would be cool. They haven't announced the platform. I don't know if it's going to be cell phone or not. Hopefully not. But it'd be interesting to see where he takes it from there. Because as a storyteller, I really enjoy his games.
Yeah, but he went off the reservation, I think, with the Heroic Saga. Yeah.
Which was the last game he actually did, which is...
Right, like... Yeah, well, yeah, Tearing Saga and the Heroic Saga on the PS2, Tearing Saga's on PS1. I tried to give them a chance, and I think it's just, I mean, you can see the heavy influences of Fire Emblem. There's some cool different things, like they have these at least in Tearing Saga they have these little tanks that they have in it and stuff, and there's some different things about it that is nice, but the fucking writing is horrible in that game. Like the dialogue is just it's mind-numbingly bad. And I was
from the translation, it's not bad. I mean, this is someone coming off playing games on the PS3 generation, and I come to Tearing Saga, it's like, hey, this is pretty good. But compared to most other games I played there, it's okay. I think the reason, the novelty of it being the only time I'll ever see like a 32-bit Fire Emblem game, essentially, is going to be that game.
Yeah.
And
yeah, like I honestly can't speak for Heroic Saga because I didn't play it, but like with Tearing Saga, it kind of felt a little clunky because it really felt like he was trying to get used to and everything, but it was nowhere near as, I don't want to say just dramatic in the sense of, at least in context with other Fire Emblem games, and it's kind of silly and it's just I mean, it's cool that he's doing this because I'm curious to see if 10 years has kind of helped him right the ship. Sings because I mean, he fought Nintendo, he won, he made 2 games, and then he disappeared.
Yeah.
So obviously, the games either made him a dickload of money, not the case, and he just kind of just had to kind of shy away for a while, and now he sees this as an opportunity to continue making, or doing something that he loves or at least likes, and make games. But is this really something that's so that's
the thing I'm interested on, not just in a storytelling aspect, but wondering if he's got another combat system up his wheel. And I'm saying, well, Greg, it's easy. You just point and click the enemy. No, there's more to it than that in Fire Emblem. You got to choose your opponents carefully. And of course, the weapons wheel has defined Fire Emblem since its inception.
Well, since the inception of the triangle, which when was that? That was more so. Like, it was kind of there, but it was more so, it didn't really have much of effect until...
Genealogy? Probably?
I think it's genealogy. Genealogy or Mystery of the Emblem for some reason, but I think it was more so genealogy. And even that was not... Like, from what my memory banks are telling me off the top of my head, is that it really did not come to be as damningly good for you to use an axe towards lances sort of thing until the GBA games. Those are very prominent in it. Like, because I mean, you get a little bit of a disadvantage, but it's not nearly as prominent as it is in the later games. From just what my memory is telling me, I could totally be fucking that up. It is 2:30.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to keep you longer, but I'd be interesting to see if you could come up with something original in terms of adding a new depth of strategy to the game.
Well, like I said, with Tyrion Saga, he had little, like, these tank things. He had different things in there. There was tanks, and he did some different things. Like, these tanks are pretty cool. I think of them as tanks, but I think there was like catapults too or something. So he did something different with that. But in Barrack Saga, if I remember, it's hexagon.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know Wild Arms XF or Cross F or whatever did that hexagonal thing as well. And Civilization went hexagonal. At least 4 didn't do it. 5 did that, I think. So I mean, I don't know. Let's hope he can just tell a better story than he did with Tyrion Saga.
Yeah. Well, hopefully this will bear more fruit. I mean, he does have a lot of fans on each side of the world, so it'll be interesting to see what this comes out for. I mean, we're excited for this, but I'm kind of holding out to find out what this is going to come out on. Because I don't know if this will come out on the Wii U somehow.
Yeah, I don't think Nintendo's going to be... Yeah, unless they buried a hatchet really deep in the ground. I don't know.
Yeah, that is it for me.
Okay. We had a conversation idea in mind, but I was kind of wondering if you wanted to maybe switch it up, or because basically we had the idea of talking about DLC.
Yeah, and then you briefly mentioned Patreon and crowdfunding.
Right.
I'm happy either way. So if you want to talk about crowdfunding, go ahead.
Go away.
Go away. Go away.
Get away. I will get away. And
that sounds good. We can keep
thing.
DLC for another time.
So keep that in mind, people. We'll do DLC down the road. Well, I wanted to bring this up because this past week, 2 people, at least in our our neck of the woods on the YouTube land, have done or have put up things for Patreon. And from what I gather, if you don't know what Patreon is, it's a crowdfunding program thing. What was the word you use for it? Like a crowdfunding,
pretty much
thing.
Crowdfunding donations page.
No, so basically you put up a page and people can donate. They can donate just like $1 or something monthly, right? It's like a monthly thing that they're putting in for Patreon, or I think it can be a monthly or a one-time thing, but I want to say that it's monthly. And you don't know off the top of your head?
Well, no. From what I've heard, you can set it. Like, you can set it per week or per fortnight and per monthly, but monthly is the most widely used choice.
Okay.
I've seen a lot of Patrons, and this is coming from someone who still has an interest to open one in the future, because the only reason I haven't opened a Patreon yet is because I don't think my videos are at that level, and I don't think I've got that big community yet where I'm dependent on to entertain everyone, because I've kind of been slacking off, and I'm kind of in this sort of period of adjustment where I really want to get back into videos, because YouTube's probably one of the only things in my life that I keep coming back to, but then keep falling off and then keep coming back to. I'm looking forward to that day where I can stay on the horse for the longest time, and I think I finally found the idea that's going to keep me on there. But as someone who does struggle to find work where I live, this can be a great opportunity. And I know we're going to talk about this because I know there's a few things to talk about, but it does cause some friction. But just to give you a short answer from me to begin with, I'm actually fine with it, and there is someone I will be contributing very soon, but yeah, I could give away my opinions and what you should do if you're not interested, but we'll draw this out. Conversation about it. So.
Well, I personally myself, I have no issues with this sort of thing. Whether you pay it weekly, bi-weekly, or over the fortnight, monthly. I am not your wallet, overlord.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I'm not here to tell you how you spend your money. I mean, that's you and your business, not my business. With this sort of thing, I actually am in agreement with how you feel about that. Like, if you don't feel comfortable that your content merits that sort of thing, and even if you do put it out there but nobody pays it, okay, that's the threshold. Right, your content to the people who watch do not feel that it is worth adding money to, because if they feel like you deserve whatever money they give you, that's, or they feel that you deserve that kind of money, then that's between them and their wallets. That's whatever they want to do. Personally, I think it's kind of cool because we're at this. I really feel that we're at this point as a collective whole where not everybody can work 8 to 5. Not everybody can work, a sit down at a computer and do that, do your job kind of thing. There's too many of us, and it's you kind of always got to kind of adapt to the time sort of thing. And I think this is something that's a really cool adaptation to the times, to kind of take it out of the hands of being stuck working for a company or doing whatever. And this kind of allows you to be a bit more creative. And I understand, well, it might not be super amazing, you're not curing cancer, but a lot of people aren't curing cancer.
Yeah.
We're not all winners.
And the thing is,
I'm not a winner.
The thing is, Taylor, don't make it to believe that those people don't exist, because they do. There are tons of people that become doctors. There's people that become police officers. There's it's a very, just to think that if someone basically requires Patreon, that the whole entire infrastructure of the world's going to fall apart. No, it's not. It's going to give someone who's probably struggling with their life another chance, And people that want to find their calling in life, and, this can help them out with that, I'm all for it, Just, to all those people, because I've encountered a lot of people that believe you should work with a 9 to 5 job and you should give back to society. And I don't want to be mean to those people, but I'm just saying, like Taylor said, not everyone can.
Well, but you're giving back to society in a different way. Yeah. I mean, you're doing something that entertains people, and for whatever reason, it either allows them to not think about whatever going on in their life, or it makes them happy. I mean, yeah, it might be a little hedonistic in a way that people seek out only things that make them happy. But that's just how, people want to be happy. That's what they.
Now, don't think that everyone who uses Patreon and these crowdfundings are innocent. There are people that will use these to nefarious means. So,
like me.
the guy on Kickstarter for potato salad, and then.
Oh, I don't think it's nefarious, but I think it's just stupid. That's just that's an abuse of that sort.
Yeah,
of thing,
because he's not stupid. He's laughing all the way to the bank because people, oh, it's so funny. I want to donate because it's stupid. Like Taylor said, you vote with your wallets. We won't criticize you that much.
Well, that in itself is like trying to be like, to them it's a. That's not really botching it, but it's like, oh, I'm adding to the comedic factor of it because it's so absurd. But it's
kind of like the offshoot of that casino that bought air from eBay for $1 million or some bullshit like that.
Wait, what?
This was a thing ages ago. I don't think it was $1 million, but it was somewhere in like six figures that someone bought like this piece of air that existed somewhere and he wanted it in a casino. And I'm like, well, that's not just stupid. That's like Mad King Richard levels.
Yeah, that's... Oh my god.
I want my son to marry this rosebush. Oh my god.
Oh,
King George. No, I think I'm getting mixed up. King George. Madness King George or something like that. But yeah. I think it's a little bit of madness even for the potato salad as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of silly. And some people will kind of don't really feel like they should be doing this. Like, this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier about just, it's their money.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you could say, well, you could be donating it to this, or you could be donating it to this, and yeah, you could be doing that. Not everybody's gonna do that.
No.
I mean, it's...
For example, just to give you up, there's a lot of those Save Africa organizations. I've actually heard from the inside some of them are really corrupt. So,
a ton of them
that money that you think's going to save the village is going to basically save their night out with hookers and blow, basically. So you got to
yeah, I mean, it's when you get into that kind of bureaucracy of these large kind of groups trying to help out, they have to fund things. However, sometimes they're being grossly mismanaged and funding things they really shouldn't be funding. But I mean, it's kind of goes with anything that you buy there. You pay something for like a product from a company, and the company takes that money and shits it down the tube doing Amiibos or something. Whatever, knockoff Amiibos. But I mean, well, they're making money hand over fist with that. But I mean, because I've seen some people get really aggravated by this sort of thing, and I don't know why it aggravates them so much that it's something that other people are doing. Maybe it's because they feel that the people that are doing this, they might be being malicious about it because they're just trying to get money. Well, they're trying to get money because maybe they don't have work, or maybe because it's trying to balance out something. Time is money. They're taking the time to do this, and if the product that that they put out there, it might sound sterile because they're just putting it that way, but if the videos they're putting out there entertain people, the people are like, hey, I think that was actually worth something, boom, throw a couple, like I mentioned Hardcore History earlier. The dude spends time studying and reading all these books, and then tells this amazing Theater of the Mind podcast, and World War One, or the Punic Wars, or the fall of the Roman Republic, and he's like, for the ones that come out when you're around to catch them, you can download them for free. But he's like, hey, if you can spare $1 a show, that'd be great, because it helps everything out here. If I had if I had money to give freely, I mean, I'd totally be for it. Not in a position to do that. So,
as you very well know, like, I was in a situation that I could have lost my funding, and I seem to still have it, which I'm kind of thankful for. So I haven't there was this situation where I was going to bring up a Patreon page if there was going to be nothing going on while I look for work. But sadly, that's not the case for now, which is good. But depending on what happens in the future, I might still bring one. But like I said before, that's only if I can produce content I'm very happy with, that people might want to donate for. Like, at the moment, donating so I can put my mug on the camera saying, I like this game. With nothing else. Nothing else.
Yeah.
No.
I've seen some of that, where there are Patreons for people who are being either like social commentators or whatnot, and it's.
I mean, you know who I'm going to donate to, and he's done his hard work. I can say that now.
Well, right. I was going to say, one of the people is a Happy Console Gamer, and he's doing it, and he's been putting out like a show for the most part a week for what, a year and a half, 2 years, and he's been doing that, and he's like, hey, putting up a Patreon, if we can hit this threshold, what's it, 3 a week?
I think it's 400, and he does these vlog videos, which I think he reached recently, which is awesome.
Well, no, but he's doing, like, he'd do like 3 videos a week instead of 1. He'd be able to get Rob Man more involved, and just because of the logistics with trying to get him over there and just the time needed and whatnot, that's the thing. It's taking time out of their lives to do something that people are enjoying.
Yes, which I do.
What is so nefarious about this?
Look, if it wasn't for Johnny and Robin, I wouldn't be here talking to Taylor right now. So, I mean,
it'd be the same, because that was the only, I never really caught anything until I saw that, and then I was like, oh, cool.
And so. I think I've said this to Johnny before, and I've said it this a million times to anyone else who's a fan of him. I think the reason why I like the Happy Console Gaming Show is he's the one gamer that represents my specific era of gaming, like the type of games I like and everything, and he says it in a way that sort of mirrors how I feel about half these games. Of course this is the one person I want to support. I mean, I actually was one of those few people that got the DVD of the movie, and it was actually worth it because it actually worked on my PS3, and it was so clear,
Yeah, I wasn't able to get the movie, but I was able to get one of the T-shirts when he did that.
Oh, yeah, I got that too. You can see me trying to be a samurai wannabe. I'll do my katana like, yeah, I'm a badass. But the face is, I don't know what I'm doing.
So, but I mean, I do not have an issue with this sort of thing. It's one thing to be doing it and to be like, hey, I'm going to be putting more time into this, and to be able to put more time into this, this is kind of what I need to do. There's like the other person who's doing it is that came up this week is Pat, the NES punk.
Okay.
And I have a love and hate relationship with his videos. Like, there's some of them I really like and enjoy, and there's a lot of them that I don't really care for. But the ones that I do like, I think he does a really good job with them, and does a good job kind of explaining certain things. And some of his humor is humor that I like. Well, yeah, just some of his humor is something that I like. Sometimes it's a little, but and just people, for whatever reason, I know I keep on going back to this. It's not like I'm trying to call anybody out and say, "Hey, you guys are assholes." And if anybody does have a conflicting opinion about this, please bring it up. Just I'd like to kind of talk about, well, not kind of, but I'd like to talk about it and see where other people feel about it, because why would this upset?
Yeah,
Kind of thing.
I'm of someone's turned 30 this year. I'm of the opinion that if I don't like something, I never invest anything in it and ever again. I don't like this video, I stop, I go and watch the next video. This whole mentality of I hate this video, so I must spend my every waking moment to let this person know that this video is terrible. Like, if to critique someone, you've got to have some sort of interest in them, I say. So it's kind of a weird way of sort of support, even though you're not supporting them, you're sort of giving them your time of day, where it's like, if I don't like something, I'm not going to give them my time, That's
no.
Unless it's like
I can see what you mean by that.
Unless it's something like really detrimental that can affect a lot of people, then I might give my 2 cents. But if it's just someone who made a show and it didn't appeal to me, I got no beef. But if someone going after someone that I sort of support or I care about, sure as hell are going to come in their defense.
Well, I can understand what you mean by the criticism thing there. I wish if you don't like something, you say, for example, take Pat the NES Punk. Say you watch a video of his and you don't care for it at all. That one video should not determine how you feel about that person.
Yeah.
At all. That's just one minuscule micro interaction that you have with this individual within your life. And if it's just like some video that's not even addressed to you, it's just out there in the public. This is, it's some sort of creative process. You come up with something. This is what I came up with. If you are that vehemently just you need some sort of anger counseling or something. Well, because it's just, I hate Final Fantasy V, but it's, I know this is like the fucking weirdest segue, but I hate Final Fantasy V, but I don't feed off of that. I don't have that in the forefront of my mind. It's just locked away somewhere, and maybe it's not a good thing, and then it'll come out again, whatever. But it's just, if you don't like it, you're kind of like, there's no reason to be like, oh, you're such a, fucking loser. Or whatever. It's just, okay, you don't like it, and try it. Try it a couple times. How, if you don't like that video, maybe you like a different video. Just don't, of this one thing, be like, well, they're doing this. They're obviously fucking money grubbing assholes because of this. Because I don't know them personally. I assume not, because I like to think well of people, and from the conversations that I've had with Johnny, he seems like a honest person. Yes. That's not just gonna just be money grubbing. And I don't know Pat, but from what I can tell from the podcast that he does in his videos, he seems like a genuine person. I'm not going to sit there and try to crucify somebody or this person over spending their time and asking, hey, if you want to, cool. If you don't want to, cool. That's what gets to me.
Yeah.
It's not like, hey, if you guys don't meet this threshold, I'm just going to put Goatsy everywhere, or not even, or drop off YouTube or whatever.
The sad thing about the new patronage is it's sort of a popularity contest. It's not like a popularity contest, but it actually shows the duality of a lot of people. Because I'm not going to name names, because I know a lot of people, friends and people indifferent, that
Greg knows
that there was some crowdfunding events that happened they were very unhappy about, But then when someone else does a Patreon page they're more inclined to, they say, hey, it's all right. So on this one stage, I've heard some of these people say, this is so wrong, and now they're saying this is so right because it's the person they like doing it. You know, which is kind of,
well,
yeah.
It's not quite Patreon, but the fiasco with Metal Jesus and Indiegogo.
I will admit, I was really, as someone who will be openly and open to criticism for saying this, I think his heart was in the right place. But when I see some tiers like $250 for a phone call, I was kind of like, okay, dude.
Yeah, I saw that, and I don't know what he was trying to think with that at all. I am not. This is just how I am as a person. I am not in your role. I'm not in your head. I don't know you. I mean, I know you, but I don't I'm not inside your head. I can't tinker with your head. I can't be like, oh yes, I know why you. I don't know your motives behind things all the time. Yeah, you can kind of presume that they just wanted to have a vacation. That's fine, whatever. But I don't know why he would have done things like that, because that's not a very...
See, the thing is I was looking at this not entirely negative. I mean, some of the things that he wanted to do was pretty cool, and it sounded like he wanted to put up some of the money, which is good as well, but I think he might have thought a little too far ahead, and I'm all for him doing like a road trip in the future, but maybe in a situation where he can sort of fund it half himself and maybe just get a little bit of funding from his fans. Because honestly, he had a lot of passionate fans, which was pretty awesome to see, that was willing to fund his trip. But I reckon like it would have probably been better in his sort of spectrum to sort of keep it safe to begin with. Like do a small road trip, don't plan like a big around the nation yet. Like it's kind of like your mountaineers. You scale a small mountain to begin with. You don't begin with Mount Everest.
Nonsense. To K2.
It's best. So I can understand where he's coming from, and I can understand the passion and the drive to go out and see the entirety of the gaming sort of culture of America. That to me, I mean, I've thought about that too. Not driving cars because I don't have a license, but hopping on one plane to the other, meeting friends, and I can relate to that. So in that regards, I can. It's just some of the tiers he probably just had to adjust, and that
he did not have a lot of couth when he came out with that. It seemed kind of just maybe good heart to go out and meet other people, but as you say, if he would have had been like, okay, this is the total, but we're only going halvesies because me and the crew are going to put up, we can at least afford to do this up to this point.
And I know you'd probably say it's probably impossible to stage. Of course it is, because it's a big stage. But like if you plan this like 2 years in advance, yeah.
That I think would have made it a little more. I guess a little bit less venomous, maybe with some people.
I know.
When it kind of was announced.
I mean, I'm saying the critique, but I wasn't venomous towards it. Like I said, I understand.
Well, there were a lot of people that were.
And I
understand the idea of, all you're doing is funding for this dude's vacation, which, I mean, that is a reasonable observation. I mean, that's what it looks like. It looks like you're just, and maybe that's not. I'm not inside his head. I don't know. Maybe that's not the idea he had at all. Instead, he was thinking, like you said, to check out the whole gaming culture of the States. I'm not God. I'm not omnipotent. I'm not inside everybody's brains. I'm not even inside my own brain half the time. But I mean, it's one of those things that's just very divisive.
And like I said before, did I go online saying he ruined crowdfunding? No, it's just like no, I don't have the time or money to fund this, sadly, and I live in Australia, so it doesn't apply to me.
Your Aussie dollars do not.
Yeah, it's just like I don't think
Aussie Disney dollars.
I don't think there'd be enough funding for me setting on a plane and come to Australia. I just thought to myself that's not going to happen. However, I'm interested to see how this trip plans out, because obviously he was going to make videos, and that in essence is the main thing I as a backer would have liked to see. Like instead of like one video a week, you could have like well, I think he wanted to upload it every time he stopped at a town, and yeah, I'm all for that. Like we're not going to go on and on and on, but like I said, like Taylor said, the idea and the heart and the process is awesome. Just I think a little more thinking had to go into it.
Yeah, I mean, that could validate it a bit more. I know some people were kind of like, well, you're just doing the vacation, and then, you're going to these areas, and then you're just going to buy up a bunch of games. I mean, he collects. That's what a lot of collectors do. If you don't collect, this shouldn't piss you off, because you should just care to play the games. And with a lot of digital availability of buying things through digital lands of the Virtual Console or PSN or whatever GOG kind of thing. Just play the damn game. That's more so like I mean, I had a bit of that, and of course I still have a little bit of it, just kind of remnants of the collection from moving back. But I mean, doing all that collecting, it didn't really help, because half of those games I didn't get around to playing because I didn't have time for it. And it's just like, just games. They're meant to be played. Play them. The end.
Yeah. As someone who thinks he's collect too much, and I heard some of it, believe you me, and felt great afterwards. So, I'm surrounded by games as we speak, and I'm more than happy at the volume I have. And I would say 75% of games that I've played and I have loved, and the other 25% are just games I haven't gotten around to finishing yet.
The games that will be played and will be loved.
Except for Time and Eternity, that's a lost cause. If anything I can do in this podcast is to give everyone the awareness of Time and Eternity. Even though
shouldn't you just be quiet and just pray that it just falls into the abyss?
Well, that would actually be poor taste considering what's happened to the head of that company.
Oh, I don't know what happened.
He's gone missing.
Oh Jesus, that's kind of frightening.
Yeah, so yeah.
But yeah, the whole Patreon thing, or Kickstarter. I mean, you mentioned the potato salad thing. The whole, I guess it should kind of umbrella it with crowdfunding. There, if you look at Kickstarter, I bring up Kickstarter because I check it fairly regularly just to kind of see what shows up. And you look at it, and a lot of it, I mean, you can see a lot of just BS. And you look at this, and you're like, no. Just no. Why are you asking for this much for something like this? And that's if you're conscientious of what you're looking at and stuff, or if you think it's cool, but you don't want to spend money and just wait until the actual product's out, that's fine. You're still supporting it. You're just supporting it after it's already been done. I mean, I personally like this crowdfunding thing. I mean, we talked a little bit about the ukulele thing last week. I want to use the term fiasco with Mighty Number 9, because he had another one, or another two crowdfunding things. One for a fucking cartoon show, and then another for voice acting or something like that. I could be wrong about that last one. I know that it at least had additional funding afterwards, but I mean, if people want that to happen, and you're obviously not getting it from other companies, you're not getting it from Konami. Last time I checked, they just pissed off a lot of people because PT got shoved out the door.
Did you hear the news recently that they
about trying to sign a petition for it or something?
No, they contacted eBay to pull down all listings of anyone trying to sell their PS4 with the demo on it. And I'm like, this is beyond just taking it off. They're just like, oh man, this is vindictive. I mean, oh wow.
Well, but that's the thing. I mean, they're trying to sell these things for £1,000,
Yeah.
if not more, and it's just like, this is
Yeah,
ridiculous.
I know. On their hand, it's ridiculous as well for selling it that much. But for Konami just to completely bury a game, not just, oh, we're not going to do it, no, we're going to bury it into the ground. It's just, it's so mind-boggling. And it's like, just say that we're going to leave the games industry and we're not going to be developing any more games. It's just their plan saying, well, we want to piss off everyone so they can make us leave. That's what it seems like.
Well, but I mean, that kind of, gets to the thing, is if now that you have the situation where there, as far as we know, there's not going to be an actual game. If sometime down the road, Kojima and Del Toro, team up to do something, they have a platform to at least have a better chance of getting anything done. I mean,
do you think that they would actually make their own studios, or do you think one of the big time video companies would be like, holy shit, Hideo Kojima, make him an offer?
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know. Like, the whole thing is really weird because I don't know, you've probably seen the speculations about just all of that going on, about how Kojima, this might be like some sort of super elaborate hyper troll thing, and I'm just like, this is insane.
This would go onto a level that'd be just freaking crazy. And just like, oh man. I mean, I think he's always wanted to beat his fans to the whole Moby Dick Studios thing with MGS5. That's the other thing I don't get. If this is a ploy, then it's not really promoting the game that much.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have certain things that he said about how he wants to cover, like, really things that are, like, really taboo, and that it might cause him to leave and, not go into hiding, but at least leave gaming, at least for a while or something. Just...
that I can agree with, because I've always said he needs to retire. Like, I remember, we said this a million times after MGS4, it's like, oh man, I'll never get to play another Metal Gear game ever again. Peace Walker came out, it's like, yeah! And then after Peace Walker, I'm just like, okay, one more. And honestly, after Peace Walker, this is just this point, it's like...
You just did. No more. We're done. After 5. That's it.
Metal Gear comes full circle. It is a fantastic series. Alrighty.
But I mean, that's... I guess, I mean, I know that's like a large leap from Patreon, where you have different people on YouTube. Like, what's his name? Smooth McGrew.
Yeah, he's the first Patreon I ever saw. I didn't know what Patreon is until he brought it up.
Right, because I was like, what the fuck is this Patreon? Did he spell patron wrong or something?
But man, you see how much he gets some of. Holy shit.
No. Is that stuff public?
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, yeah, I don't know what he gets a month. I don't honestly pay attention. But, like I said, that goes back to the whole your money, your business.
And
I don't.
My opinion is, I'm glad. I think he's worth it. He's very entertaining. Like, the thing is, he actually does a lot of songs that I was surprised. Like, he did that Shining Force 2 Elvish Village thing, which came out left field. I was like, oh, dude, you are awesome. And then he was like building up. Like, I usually do a video a week, but I'm planning on a big one. And sure enough, it was One Winged Angel. And he put a lot of effort into that. So he's someone that I think is one of the best examples of how, if I was to donate, I would see it going to a good cause. Well, not good. Good cause is not the word. Just getting money.
A creative cause.
For money for my entertainment, like.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, you could just kind of be pissing it away, doing whatever. But, I mean, it's money. You're spending your money how you feel. How you feel it will help you be happier or whatever. I mean, it's your money, your business.
Let's put this on a hypothesis situation for myself. If I was given $50 and all I can do was give it to someone on Patreon or buy a booze, that lucky person's getting my money on Patreon.
Well, that's I don't know. I mean, you're really kind of constricting that.
Yeah, you know what?
For example, I mean, if I switch that and say, you could give $60 to somebody who you see on, put out this kind of stuff, weekly or bi-weekly or ever you see him doing this and you've been entertained, you've enjoyed a lot of this person's content, you have $60 that you're just like, whatever. You could either use it to give it that person, or for example you could use it to buy a new game. Now this new game, fuck knows, it might not be good, it might be terrible, whatever. You just be like, whatever, it's your money, do whatever the fuck you want with it. If you want, just turn it into quarters and just swim in it for all I don't care. Make money.
Remember, metal is not a liquid. Gold is not a liquid.
But I mean, it's just, yeah, it's really something that I do not have an issue with, and that if people feel that the content is worth it to them, then
invest.
Let them spend their money. I mean, I don't know if you have to. Do you have to pay for Netflix?
Yeah, of course. Oh yeah, you have to pay for it. But can I say this now? So worth it.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. You're paying for the service of that, or you're paying for cable. You're paying for fucking. The only thing you're not paying for is like broadcast radio.
Just a really funny story is my video. Well, not funny to the people in the video store. I hope those guys are doing okay. But they had to close doors because they weren't getting enough business. But Netflix came a month and a half later, and it kind of solved my problems. And I actually said to myself, I spend roughly the same amount of money hiring out DVDs as I do paying Netflix monthly. So it kind of hasn't changed. It's just the way I get my visual entertainment has changed, And I think that can be a metaphor for Patreon and all this. The way entertainment is brought has changed. Not everyone views the TV or television broadcasting as the absolute entertainment medium anymore. People go onto YouTube. And I think a lot of the people that sort of vindictive against the Patreon they are of this solemn belief that YouTube and all that should be free and nothing more. But if you know the inner workings, it's not free to a lot of people. I mean, honestly, when it comes down to it, people, I would gladly donate on Patreon and open up a Patreon account, then do monetization, because monetization is just a whole kettle of fish that I do not want to digest. It's
that's a way to phrase.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be like I don't want to go into it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole monetization thing. It seemed like it basically seemed like it was trying to turn YouTube into TV, and I don't watch a lot of TV. I hate commercials.
Yeah.
Commercials are the bane of my existence because they're so fucking retarded. Like, I don't understand the methodology that's put into thinking, oh, this is a great commercial because here's some jackasses playing a game and then they drink something and they're fucking dancing. It's just like, what? What is the correlation to any of this?
Yeah.
I mean, there's just no, like, the whole conveyance thing. There's no, like, conveyance to buy this fucking shit because it's totally cool or whatever. I mean, okay. No, I hate commercials so much. And we'll be back after these commercials. Kind of.
Winners don't do drugs.
But that's not a commercial though. That's just like a little, hey, fuckface, stop doing drugs. And it's like, hey, okay, random blue screen with white lettering.
It can be an advert. Remember that this is your brain. This is your brain on heroin.
Yeah, this is your brain on drugs.
That's funny.
And but that doesn't make any sense. Where the fuck did that come from? Why is it that it's an egg and it's all of a sudden it's just like, hey, this is your brain on drugs?
It's funny that the girl who acted in that ad eventually went to voice Tifa in the next incarnations of the Final Fantasy games.
Really?
Yep.
That's a random bit of trivia.
I found out. I was like, oh my god, it's Tifa.
That's bizarre. But I mean, it's just. Yeah, that's and so they try to do the monetization thing. I understand you do that and you get money, but then you have the ad blocker thing that really pissed off a lot of people.
Yeah, but that also saved a lot of computers from malware and all that batch, because that was the only thing that was kind of keeping me away from YouTube for a while. Is some of the ads they get on YouTube are really suspicious, and you're thinking that this this new website, this one website that is used across the internet, you don't think Google would have some sort of ironclad security to protect people? And then people find out that this ad blocker does a better job than they're doing. So,
well, like I remember when I was in Japan, I'd get the little adverts and stuff, and some of them were 10 to 30 minutes long. I understand you can't skip them, but what the fuck? Are you serious? If I walk away and I'm doing something, and then you just have this thing that's going on that's like this little fucking, hey, we're just going to tell a story about how this dude bought a piano and he totally changed this person's life. And it's just like, oh,
that's pretty...
Huh? I mean, it's just like, it's just random. It's just like, what the fuck? And it's like, bye, Sanyo. It's like, huh? What? It's kind of a feel-good story, but what? You know, that's what commercials leave me at. I think, so this is kind of why I'm like really cool with the whole Patreon thing, because it's just like, hey, there's no commercials, just, here's a way, just help fund things and, that sort of thing. And it's just, God, you don't have to rot your brain on commercials. Sweet. I don't need to see fucking Zit commercials any longer.
What's so funny is you're the one that's staying up really late, and it's only just 5 o'clock, and I feel like the one who's tired now.
I think I've caught like my 8th wind or something. I've been trying to like sip on some sweet tea, so.
I was listening to everyone, and I totally agree with most of the advertisers. They advertise something, and you're like, what? Because because I've studied film and design, and some of those ads are meant to evoke an emotion, and it's not necessarily a pleasant one. If you can get inside someone's head, they'll actually remember the product, whether they don't want to. Which is the sad truth. Like the rice cracker called Sakata, and all the sads went as Sakata, and it's just them singing like that. What happened when I went to the fucking convenience store? All I could think about is Sakata. And I said, I want to try one, and it tastes like shit. So, there you go.
You got Sakata.
So, yeah, I think bring up a lot of good points of crowdfunding. Honestly, it can do some good in this world. You just got to know where to invest in, and if it's going to put your mind at ease and put you in a happy place to say, I think this guy or this woman, whoever makes this content, is so awesome. He or she deserves my money. Do it. Don't have a second chance. And if you don't think they're good, just go on.
Well, if you feel like that you want to do that, that's fine. If you don't, that's just as fine. And I mean, it's your money, do whatever. There's people out there who don't want to do things that other people think that are worthwhile. Like, a good friend of mine, I finally saw him, like, yesterday. I hadn't seen him in 6 years. And we were kind of chatting about different things, and he wants to go to London and Japan. But he's not in any mood to see any of that happy tourist bullshit. Or just, he doesn't really care about going to see, going to see Stonehenge or anything. He just wants to go to fucking London to see a soccer match and be there with his buds, and then go to Japan, visit a mutual friend, hang out. He doesn't give a fuck about all this other kind of nonsense. So the traveling is kind of secondary. And for some people, people are like, oh, you gotta travel, you have to travel. No, you don't. I mean, it could be nice. Some people don't. Some people are homebodies. It's just everybody has their own little, idiosyncrasies, their own little quirks.
I do.
It's just, I mean, yeah, we all do. It's, it's their money. Let them do what they want. I mean, you can fucking beat on the drum about how bad or good something could be, but it's up to that person to decide, because it could be a wonderful fucking thing. It could maybe, it's something to get us in contact with aliens that it'll lead us to, whatever. And they could be like, yeah, fuck that. These people, those things up there, those fucking space beings, don't want to talk to them. whatever, okay? You know,
Uh,
maybe they come down here and they're like, fuck.
Oh, and to anyone who is curious about what quirks I have, just listen to that food episode of Power On Podcast.
Right.
You'll see a whole different perspective of someone who could possibly hate most foods. But yeah, it was a really good topic, and I know we had some sort of harsh opinions, and we mean no ill will to.
Right. Well, I mean, if you disagree and you're like, you guys are dumbasses, whatever, let us know. I mean, I'm totally cool with chatting about it because I'm not inside your head. I can't be like, oh, okay, this is why you think this, or this is the reasoning behind it. Maybe you'll change my opinion. I mean, I'm totally open to that sort of thing.
Maybe become my future employer. Who knows?
Right.
And just anyways, I honestly, last thing I'm going to say, I think crowdfunding is a wonderful thing. It does give a lot of great opportunities to people with some fantastic ideas. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think it allows for more opportunities for people to do whatever. I mean, this kind of goes to the same idea that I have, that people, for example, people who aspire to be authors or something, can use things like the self-publishing thing for Amazon, so they don't have to go through a publisher. They can just kind of self-publish something. To me, it's like the same thing. The advent of the internet and being able to do all this cool stuff allows people to do that instead of having to be, you might sometimes wish you had the strainer of publishers or something to kind of weed out some things that are just bad.
But sometimes they,
for lack of a better word,
they get it wrong as well. So
exactly. So the end. For now.
Tune in next week when we are going to talk about more gaming news and more gaming topics. And I can't spin that in a more jazzy way. So I think I'm just going to say... Anything else you want to bring up, good sir?
Nope. We'll catch you next week, same time. Sort of. Same day, I guess.
Same back channel.
At least. Same bad channel, yeah. Catch you on the same bad channel.
Alright, I want to thank everyone that was listening. Please comment below if you agree, disagree. That is, create conversation.
Yes, create.
Alrighty, and until the next Saturday, you have been listening to Saturday Mornings with Trusler and Mac, and I hope you have a good weekend. Later, everyone.
Let's party. Let the party begin.